Hello, good evening and welcome to Joy News Prime. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125 around the world on myjoyonline.com. My name is Faustina Safa and I'm doing this with
Carlos Caloni. This evening, Judicial Secretary H.L. Sarah Pamela Cranton resigns as the Judicial Service accepts her resignation and swiftly appoints her deputy as acting Judicial Secretary.
Also tonight, a glimmer of hope for patients in the northern region as doctors at Tamale Teaching Hospital partially suspend strike as they resume emergency services.
And Public Utility Workers Union poll registers yet another strong opposition to private sector participation in ECG operations as they hoist red flags at all the 92 plus 14 regional administrative offices.
And in education, the Education Minister Haruna Idrisu tasked the National Teaching Council to propose alternative to teacher licensure exam as government seeks to scrap the policy.
Well, we are a home of independent, fearless and credible journalism.
It's a good time to take a seat and please be our guest. Thanks for choosing us. Now, doctors at the Tamale Teaching Hospital have resumed emergency service. This comes 48 hours after the Doctors Association suspended all services in protest of poor working condition, equipment, and outbursts between the Health Minister, Governor Minta Kando, and staff of the hospital during his visit. The doctors, in a statement, demanded the provision of a host of medical equipment and consumables and an apology from the minister to resume work. Even after the provision of the items on Thursday, the doctors stayed away from the wards. Now, the good news coming in is that the doctors have partially resumed duty, but this we are learning after a visit and plea from the LANA, Dr. Jacob Mahama.
The recent crisis in the hospital caused by the unavailability of essential supplies and equipment has brought untold suffering to those who depend on your expertise. So we acknowledge the depth of your concerns and the hurt caused by the recent unannounced visit to your facility by the Health Minister. We understand that an apology from the Minister of Health could be a crucial step towards healing and rebuilding trust. As a neutral facilitator, we will convey your concerns to the Minister and encourage him to take the necessary steps to address your grievances. However, we implore you to consider the lives that hang in the balance. The cessation of emergency services has far-reaching consequences, and we fear for the well-being of those who cannot afford to wait. We appeal to your professionalism, compassion, and commitment to the democratic oath. Your dedication to saving lives is what brought you to this noble profession. We urge you, on the interim, to find a way to ensure the continuity of essential emergency services. We are willing to facilitate a meeting between your representatives and the minister to discuss the way forward. Our goal is to ensure that the hospital continues to provide quality healthcare services to the people of Dagwan and beyond.
Well, our Northern Regional correspondent, Martina Bugri, joins us live with details. Martina, just walk us through some of the key things they've agreed to do now moving forward.
So what we understand is that they said they will begin to serve at the emergency area. Services will be provided at the emergency, but for OPD and others, they would have to continue to wait until their grievances are met. Then they would go into those areas. We are told that the overlord would also be meeting with the ministers to help mediate between them to get these issues resolved so that they can come back and then we can have full service at the Tamale Teaching Hospital.
Are they still demanding that apology from the Health Minister?
Rightly so. They are still demanding the apology from the Health Minister. And that's a condition we are told that is non-negotiable.
Thank you, Martina Bugri.
Well, away from that, just days after the suspension of Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono, Judicial Secretary HL Larry Pamela Quarantin has tendered a shock resignation. The development was confirmed in a memo dated April 24, 2024 and signed by Acting Chief Justice, His Lordship Justice Paul Bafo-Boni. In a swift move, Justice Bafo-Boni has appointed Deputy Dr. Cyracuse Baninye Bampuro as the new Acting Judicial Secretary. The reasons behind Quarantin's resignation remain unclear, but my colleague, Kweku Asante, has been following this particular story closely, and he joins me in studio. Kweku, what details are you picking from this?
So we understand that on Wednesday, there was a meeting of the Judicial Council, which ultimately led to the acceptance of the resignation of Madam Sarah Pamela Quarantin.
Right.
And for those who don't know, Madam Sarah Pamela Quarantin was not just the Judicial Secretary prior to her resignation. She was also a Court of Appeal judge, and for this, she had been serving for quite some time and has now decided to step aside. Back to the screen, it says, at the 291st meeting of the Judicial Council held on Wednesday, 26th March, the Council accepted the request by Sarah Pamela Quarantin to be released from the duties of Judicial Secretary. Wherefore, you are hereby directed to assume duties of Judicial Secretary. That is the directive that went to the Deputy to act prior to the Judicial Council appointing a new person to take the charge. For those of you following why all this is so important, the Judicial Secretary is like the administrative head, partly somehow, of the judiciary. She does a lot of the administrative stuff as head of the administration, while the Chief Justice herself is the head of the judicial service and the judiciary. The allegations that have been made against the Chief Justice that has led to her suspension include an allegation that she used state funds in excess of 260,000 Ghana cedis to pay for the plane ticket of the husband and the daughter to go on a holiday trip outside the country with her. Mind you, the Judicial Service has a judicial policy, a travel policy. The travel policy says if the Chief Justice goes on official travels, she's allowed to travel with her security and any other person of her choice, and the state will take care of her. However, if she goes on a private trip, for instance, a vacation, holidays, she will be allowed to go with her security. The security will be taken care of by the state. But any other person, obviously, will not be taken care of by the state. And so the allegation of Daniel Ofori, in the allegation that we have seen, is that the Chief Justice misappropriated public funds when she paid in excess of 260,000 cedi for plane tickets for the husband and daughter to go on holidays, and also paid them $30,000 per diem. The Chief Justice's response to these petitions was that it was actually Madam Sarah Pamela Quarantin Addo that actually allowed her to do that as Judicial Secretary. And that when the auditors flagged this transaction, the Chief Justice, the Judicial Secretary, at that time, Justice Pamela Quarantin had explained to them that the Chief Justice had opted to use the privileges that apply to when she goes on official travels on her private travels. And so some have said that even the Judicial Secretary herself, as owner of the travel policy, because if you look at the face of the travel policy, it says that the owner and the chief implementer of the travel policy is the Judicial Secretary. She has to ensure that it is adhered to. And there are those who even say that she's implicated in this, but she has taken an early bow, she has resigned, and the Judicial Council has accepted her resignation.
Thank you so much, Kweku Asante, is with our legal desk, and we'll still be keeping our eyes into that story.
Indeed. Let's do have the stories now, because the Minister for Education, Haruna Idrisu, has tasked the National Teaching Council with developing a professional alternative to the current teacher licensure examination as it seeks to scrap the policy. Now, this move aligns with the government's commitment to scrap the widely criticized assessment. President John Dramani Mahama, during his 2024 election campaign, pledged to abolish the licensure exams if elected, while he argued that the entire concept behind the exam lacked proper planning and raised several concerns about its fairness and effectiveness. There's more in the following report.
President John Mahama, ahead of the 2024 general elections, promised to scrap the teacher licensure exams, arguing that the current system lacked effectiveness.
Yes, I'll cancel it. Simple, straightforward. I believe that if we improve the examination, the final exam that they take, and we improve the quality of teaching and learning in the colleges of education, you don't need for them to pass their exams, come out, and go back and write a licensing exam.
To actualize this policy shift, Minister of Education Haruna Idrisu has tasked the newly inaugurated National Teaching Council Committee to develop a new framework for assessing teacher qualifications, one that prioritizes academic training and practical fieldwork over standardized exams.
Yes, it's true, the NDC campaigned on a manifesto promise we will end licensure exams. We did, and we'll keep faith with the electorate. But I need professional advice on this matter. That is why I'm putting this committee together to advise most appropriately how to walk through the transition from a licensure exam regime to a no licensure exams.
In the interim, the minister proposed that the NTC considers allowing teachers who previously failed the licensure exams an opportunity to reset before the exams are officially phased out.
With further advice, I want to say that one last opportunity of a reset of the licensure exams for those who couldn't make it the last time must also be part of your recommendations. What do we do? Do we offer them an opportunity of a reset?
Still on education reforms, the minister also inaugurated a new board for the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, where he raised concerns about the quality of graduates entering the workforce. He urged GTEC to intensify quality assurance measures across tertiary institutions.
There are complaints from the Ghanaian private sector about the quality of the Ghanaian graduate. There are. If you do an assessment and evaluation of interviews conducted both within the public and private sector of Ghana, you will come to find out some questions about what is the quality of this graduate. That is not to say that our universities are not producing the best quality. They are. But I'm sure there are instances that some don't live up to their calling and expectation.
Mr. Idrisu further proposed a 10-year transition period after which no private university will be permitted to operate without acquiring a charter. Reporting for Joy News, Collins Frimpong.
Well, this evening, tension is rising sharply among members of the Public Utility Workers Union pool as they are once again voicing their strong opposition to private sector involvement in the operations of the Electricity Company of Ghana and NEDCO. Red flags have been hoisted at all 92 district and 14 regional administrative offices nationwide in a bold show of protest. Their action follows confirmation by Finance Minister Dr. Kasiel Atoforsen that Cabinet has approved private sector participation in both ECG and the Northern Electricity Distribution Company. Let me now take you live to the VRA head office here in Accra, where my colleague James Aveji is standing by. James, what is the picture like at the VRA head office where you are in Accra?
It's already clear on the grounds where, if you can see behind me, red flags are hoisted already around the signpost here at the Volta, Electro Volta House, which is the headquarters of both the Volta River Authority and the Electricity Company of Ghana. If you see behind me, the two, signboards here, if you see just below them there, you see the one on my left there having already wrapped with red cloth. You see the one on my right also wrapped with red cloth. The one on my right actually is the Electricity Company of Ghana Limited signpost, and the one on the left is that of the Volta River Authority signpost. The two of them already have red cloth wrapped around them, which is evidence of the news that is just coming in about the Public Utility Workers Union's agitation against the privatization of the Electricity Company of Ghana. That is not all. If the camera can pan all the way down to the gate there, you see the red banner hoisted at the entrance to the headquarters proper, hoisted on the fence over there. A lot of the workers have already retired from their day's work already. I've been speaking to the security on duty, and they have been telling me that the agitations have already started, and they would be expecting the workers to resume work on Monday with a lot of the objections. Either they would be hoisting or tying their arms or heads with the red armbands coming Monday. But Carlos, as evident here, the action has already begun here at the headquarters of both the Volta River Authority and the Electricity Company of Ghana here at the Electro Volta House in Accra. Red bands already hoisted. We're looking forward to what more actions will be happening over the weekend going into Monday, Carlos.
James Aveji and Reverend Enoch Poes is the national chairman of the Public Utility Workers Union of the Ghana Trades Union Congress, and he joins us live on Zoom. First of all, what are the red bands in your offices across the country for?
Yeah, hello?
I can hear you loud and clear now.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good evening once again to all listeners and then all viewers, especially the workers of ECG, and then all Public Workers Union, and then all members of the Trade Union Congress. So let me just do this correction. I'm speaking on behalf of the General Secretary, who happens to be Brother Timothy Nyami, and I'm the Deputy General Secretary and not the Chairman as well. So let me just...
right, thank you for that quick correction, right.
Yeah, so thank you so much. And then just like your reporter rightly said, the workers of ECG are not really happy with the way, especially the committee and the Ministry of Energy is really handling this whole issue of the PSP, which we believe that some stakeholders' engagement from the beginning has been held, the whole of TUC being involved. And then we realized that this meeting came so much on that the view of the union and then some other proposals was taken into consideration. We were told by the chairman of the committee that the report and the proposal that is being put out there, these are not just the main proposal, but these are just scanting and then a preliminary proposal. We heard from an article from the Minister of Finance saying that Cabinet has already approved the PSP, which we believe as workers and major stakeholders, it does not really go well with us, because the union and labor front, there are supposed to be some level of engagement. And then we expect that the PSP, we also have a stand. We are saying that we don't really agree to what the government is saying and what the committee is saying, because we came out with some few issues that we believe are very salient points for the committee to consider. And then the minister also on the time pass addressed that is we want to have an engagement with us. That has not been done. All that we can see is that the ministry is going on to behind the back door,
right, and
the seats doing a whole lot of things. So that is what the workers are not happy with, and we are signing this caution. This is the hoisting of the red flag, and we are saying that they should be tread very cautiously, because why are we in a haste? What is the hurry for? Why are we trying to do things under the troll, under the carpet? Why are we doing all these things?
Right.
Because we really want to do something in better of the country, and then for the energy sector, everything should be open, everything should be clear. The engagement and everything should come very clear.
Right.
And where the union and labor front is.
Right. I think you've made a point, and then we'll still keep our eyes on your issue and update our viewers accordingly.
Indeed. Let's do other stories, Carlos. Right. Now, conveners of the planned anti-legal mining protests say they are taking to the streets because the government has shown little commitment to tackling the Galamsey menace. Well, their comments comes just hours after the Accra High Court struck out a motion seeking to block the protest following its withdrawal by the Attorney General. Legal Affairs correspondent Latif Idrisu was in court and has more in this report.
At first, it was unclear why the state decided to withdraw the motion to prohibit the planned protest. However, Deputy Attorney General Justice Sremsai clarified in an ex post where he partly stated that, quote, after 2 meetings with the security and intelligence agencies yesterday, the Attorney General decided that the application for injunction to restrain the anti-Galamsey demonstrators be withdrawn. The injunction application was duly withdrawn this morning. The Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayeni, will not violate or allow anyone to violate the citizens' right to demonstrate, unquote. According to the police, the Liberation Square and the Jubilee House are both security zones and was advising the conveners to not converge at this particular location as a final convergence place for their particular planned protest. But the protesters insisted that that is where they want to carry their message and deliver their message to the presidency. The police also tried to explain that indeed the time they have chosen for that particular protest, which is from 2 p.m. to 12 a.m., the starting period, which is 2 p.m., is a peak time. And so if the protest were to happen from 2 p.m., it was going to cause huge gridlock within the Accra city and also inconvenience a lot of people and hinder the delivery of critical services within the national capital. These were the grounds the police sought to lay down, but the protesters held their ground. Reason why the police came to court in a bid to hinder or stop this particular protest from coming off. Speaking on the pulse hours after the court ruling, Apia Kubi, who is a co-convener of the planned protest, said their decision to embark on the demonstration is because not much has been done to stop the illegal mining menace.
The hope we had that upon a change of government, at least, we were going to see a certain level of, a little bit of conscience being applied in terms of the way we are degrading the environment and how we are causing a lot of destruction to our very own survival as human beings. Then clearly, we ought to have seen some level of change. But yet, the things are happening and we are far from seeing any positive change. And
the police have been commenting on this matter, and my colleague Latif Idrisu joins me in the studio with details of their statement. Latif, they're finally complying?
Exactly. So the police has given the indication that they are complying and they are going to provide the necessary security for the protesters come 28th of this month. So in a statement, the police says that the Greater Accra Regional Police Command wishes to assure the general public that adequate measures have been taken to provide security for an impending demonstration by the Generational Rights Protection Society in Accra. So that's the name of the group. The demonstration is scheduled to take place from Monday, 28 April to Tuesday, 29 April 2025 at 4 p.m. to 12 midnight. And the agreed route is as follows: Obrasport, Ring Road, Central, Liberation Road, and then Liberation Square. To ensure the effective management of persons and vehicles movement during the exercise, the police wish to entreat drivers, commuters, and all other road users to follow directions from our officers who will be on the ground to offer the necessary assistance. That is the statement and the assurance coming from the police. The command urges the organizers and demonstrators to adhere to the provisions of the Public Order Act 1994, Act 491, and cooperate with the police to ensure a successful exercise. The police remains committed to ensuring the safety and security of all citizens and urge the public to cooperate fully during this period. And so this is the statement from the police. They've given the go-ahead. That is the court decision, and we all know now that it followed the Attorney General decision to withdraw that particular motion that sought to restrict or prohibit this planned protest from coming off.
Thank you so much, Latif. He is head of our legal affairs desk here at Joy News. Now, a dawn operation by the Ashanti Regional Anti-Galamsey Task Force has led to the seizure of 13 excavators and some arrests in illegal mining sites in the Adansi enclave. Leader of the task force, Captain John Kwame Jabari, describes the operation as the most successful since the commencement of the fight. He says all excavators and suspects targeted in their reconnaissance were arrested. Nana Aljima has more in this report.
According to the task force, the present phase of the operation is geared towards clearing waterways and halting destruction of cocoa farms. This follows what the leaders call a successful clawback of some forest reserves that were being mined illegally. The Adansi enclave is among areas heavily affected by illegal mining. Large tracts of land have been destroyed by the illegality, with many cocoa farms being the worst affected. Captain retired John Kwame Jabari indicated the operation was prompted by concerned residents within the catchment.
We have dealt with the forest reserves already, so we are now looking at the water bodies and those in the waterways, and especially those who are destroying our cocoa farms. Cocoa is the future of Ghana, so we will not allow Galamsey people to bring down the production of cocoa. So when we went to the place that we went to, apart from them destroying the river body, a number of cocoa farms have been brought down by this menace in those areas over there. So that prompted us to come to the place, and most of the time it's not our own intel. It is the citizens over there who come and give us the information that these people are destroying our cocoa farms, these people are destroying our water bodies. That brings us to conduct those operations over there. So this is one of them, and I think the operation has been perfect.
The task force, in efforts to arrest perpetrators of the crime, is formulating new modalities for operation. A review of operational strategy is driving the current success. Captain retired Jabari again.
This has been one of the best anti-Galamsey operations we have conducted in the region for the past 3 months, because almost all the sites that we went, we were able to pick the machines and arrest the corporates who are involved in the illegal mining. And as you said, we have changed our modus of operandi a number of times. So this time, I think we perfected it, and we have been able to apprehend them and seize the machines, all the machines that we saw during the recce. We were able to seize it during the main operation.
Meanwhile, the task force continues to warn persons involved in perpetrating the illegality to desist from it. For Joy News, Nana Aljima, Kumasi.
Well, you're still watching Joy News from. We'll be back after this quick time. Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime.
Well, Chief Executive Officer of Zoomlion Ghana Limited, Dr. Joseph Siao Ejapon, has mounted strong defense against District Assembly's concerns over the company's poor sanitation service delivery. Managers of the Metropolitan Municipal and District Assemblies during a tour by Parliament Committee on Sanitation and Water Resources complained about Zoomlion's failure to deploy street sweepers and lift waste containers. But Chief Executive Officer of Zoomlion is fighting back others. There's more in the following report.
When Parliament's Committee on Sanitation went on a fact-finding mission to a number of metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies a week ago to know why our streets are not clean, a major part of the blame was put on Zoomlion Ghana Limited for failing to deliver on the sanitation improvement project contract. The committee on Wednesday took the tour to the company at the center of the controversy, Zoomlion's waste management plant. After a tour of the structure, General Manager in charge of waste at Zoomlion, Emil Amwa, raised concerns about the financial challenges preventing the company from fully delivering on its mandate.
We are supposed to be paid quarterly every quarter, when the service is rendered, we are paid. But as we speak, for the past 2 years, we have not been paid. Notwithstanding, the work is being done. Every month, we spend 2.5 million Ghana cedis on fuel alone, every month. But we are not being paid monthly or quarterly. That is our number one challenge.
His position was backed by Group CEO Joseph Siang Ejipong.
Now, with relatives, with people who are not working, the sweeper you don't see, they have not been paid for 2 years. And if you are being paid allowances and you are not being paid for 2 years, it's difficult for you to work. And so we have worked with them for past 17 years. We have consistently paid them and pre-finance. We normally even pre-finance the payment. But for the past 2 years, payment have not been coming. And our financial partners who give us money, if they don't see payment coming, they also stop give us the money. So the reality and the truth must be told.
He insists that the company, in spite of all the challenges, is still in position to deliver if they get more support from government.
We have the capacity. Just help us. We will get out of this challenge. And when the company is in challenge, it's you leaders who will help us. Without you, nobody can help us again. But we have done it before. We can do it again. We also don't say that we are perfect. No, there are lapses, which we admonish and take inspiration from all your comments that no, we will change it. We will also look at certain things and look at it.
Chairman of the committee, John Utibles, gave strong commitment to get government to clear the arrears.
13 billion is captured in the current budget to settle arrears. And you have about 1.2 billion. He made an assurance that you are going to be settled. And we are going to follow up on that as a committee because we are interested. We want to see a change in Ghana. So we'll do everything possible with the help of the minister. You'll be paid within in due course. So that is an assurance. So we'll do that for you. But we want to see a change.
While the assemblies wait for the street to be cleaned, Zoomlion also waits on government to pay their debt. James Savages reports for Joy News.
Well, joining me on Zoom is an environmental engineer and chairman of the local organizing committee of an upcoming conference on environmental management, Dr. Shelter Locho. How would you describe Ghana's environmental management regime as we have it now?
Thank you. My name is Dr. Engineer Shelter Locho, CEO of TSS Sustainability and chairman of the local organizing committee of the upcoming ESG and Sustainability Reporting Summit, scheduled for August 2025. I want to quickly say that Ghana's environmental regime currently has a lot of gaps that we have to fill. With the menace of Galamsey, where we have artisanal mining destroying our environmental sustainability and polluting our water bodies, cutting down trees, and even those who are involved in the Galamsey find themselves being sick and polluted, drinking polluted water and affecting health. I think we have a very big problem on hand as far as environmental issues are concerned. However, the current government has set up a Minister of State for Sustainability and Climate Change, which is a step in the right direction. And hopefully, this minister will be in charge and will be able to roll out issues or programs that will address our environmental issues.
Briefly tell us about this conference. What do you seek to achieve with this conference coming to Ghana, looking at the fact that we have a lot of environmental issues when it even comes to waste management, for instance?
Very well. ESG sustainability has to do with all companies, whether in the extractive industry, whether in the manufacturing industry, the banking industry, all their operations that has effect on either the environment, the society, or the governance or ethical issues in the country. Ghana is one of the developing countries where we have a lot of minerals, we have natural resources that multinational corporations are extracting, and a lot of them are expected to adopt sustainability measures.
All right.
However, we find that not many of them are compliant, and even those that are carrying out ESG.
Okay, so this conference is actually to help us get some of the ways we can address our environmental issues. We are so grateful to you for speaking to us here on Join Is Prime.
365 bank employees have been implicated in various acts of financial misconduct, according to the Bank of Ghana's 2024 annual fraud report, raising fresh concerns about the integrity of the country's banking sector and the robustness of the internal controls within the financial institution. Now, while the overall number of implicated staff marks a serious issue, the report highlights a more alarming trend: a dramatic surge in the value at risk from forgery to document manipulation. Now, in 2024 alone, losses attributed to this activity skyrocketed to 553.5 million Ghana cedis, nearly 8 times the figure reported in 2023. Well, let me give you excerpts of that report. It's coming up on your screens now shortly. Just a breakdown of the total number of fraud cases. As at 2023, they reported 15,865 number of fraud cases. Shockingly, in the year 2024, that number jumped by 5% to 16,733. Now, when it comes to the total number of fraud reported and the amount involved, when it comes to the year 2023, it was recorded that the money involved was 88 million Ghana cedis. That number jumped by 13% to the year 2024 to 99 million Ghana cedis. Now, when it comes to the banks and specialized deposits taking institution, in the year 2023, 274 staff were involved in issues regarding fraud. Shockingly, that number has gone to 365 by 33% in the year 2024. It shows that most of the staff members are now involved in the illegality. Now, the number of dismissed staff when it comes to this issue, the year 2024, 365 staff, we told you, have been involved in the issues regarding fraud. 155 have been dismissed so far, representing 43% of the total number. What are the types of fraud that were recorded in the bank? And the report goes on to state it: forgery and alteration of document, identity theft or impersonation, ATM, POS, e-money fraud, remittance as well. Meanwhile, banking consultant Dr. Richmond has called on banks in Ghana to sit up after the central bank reported a 33% increase in staff involvement in fraudulent activities across the banking sector and specialized deposit-taking sector for the year 2024.
Once the industry keep on growing, basically you're going to experience these things. But looking at what we've been through since 2019, the COVID, the banking sector crisis, the economic challenges in 2022, the DDEP, one would have expected that there would have been improvement in these fraud issues. But from where I sit, it's a reputational issue, and it's not good for the industry. No matter how, whatever came across, whether it's even less than one city, what I'm saying that we should rather strive to improve the quality and reduce these fraud so that customers will not be put in fears. But apart from that, I think the bank should sit up. I mean, the Bank of Ghana is doing his bit. I believe that the sector, the players in the sector should sit up, because I don't think they are doing the best of they are putting their best.
Dr. Kwesi Osei, while from the Financial Stability Department of the Bank of Ghana, said the new report is disturbing.
I must say that whilst in aggregate terms we are seeing some increase in the overall value matrix and also the aggregate count of fraud. When you drill down a bit deeper, you realize that we've seen some improvement, actually. Even when you look at value matrix for banks, there was just an isolated outlier situation where just one fraud incident was valued at about 53 million. So it's really moved the number up significantly. But when you look at the others, you see value at risk for even SDI, for instance, the number came down significantly, 48% reduction. So yes, we wanted to see more, but the figures as we see is showing some marginal improvement from last year.
Now, President John Dramani Mahama has announced that July 1st, traditionally celebrated as Ghana's Republic Day, will henceforth also be observed as the country's national day of prayer and thanksgiving. Speaking at the inauguration of the planning committee for the event, the president emphasized that the peace and stability Ghana continues to enjoy is no coincidence. He described the nation's religious harmony as a blessing that must be cherished and never taken for granted.
And again, in the Holy Book, the Bible, in Romans 12:18, the Bible says, if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. This is the spirit with which we must move forward. And so, with conviction, reverence, and unity of purpose, I hereby declare the Republic Day, 1st of July of every year, also as Ghana's official National Day of Prayer and Thanksgiving.
Well, you're still watching the Joy News Prime with me, Carlos Kaloni, and
Christina Safo. We'll be back after this quick time, please.